Hi guys, today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about getting your work out there, or rather my work ethic when it comes to getting your work out there. Now, I've worked in the independent film industry for the past 7 or 8 years, doing many different things including acting, directing, writing music, all that sort of stuff. But I've worked on well over 120 films now, most of them aren't even on the IMDb. Now, basically I believe that you should never over-polish something, because critics will always find fault and they will always find problems with whatever you're doing. The good idea is to get your work out there very, very quickly after you've got everything sort of stuck together. Then wait for people to give their critical appeal and critical opinions on what you've created. And then what you do is you use this knowledge to remaster your work and look at it from a different perspective from your own. Because the thing is, when you're creating work, it's always on a very personal level. Like, everyone's project is very, very personal to them, the characters that they create and everything else. And a lot of the time they can't see their own flaws. And sometimes when you're polishing so very much, you're not going to notice the flaws that you're creating because you're so stuck in your universe that you might not even realise that things that might be obvious to you aren't necessarily obvious to your audience, such as the critics, which are really, really helpful in terms of getting you what you need. Now, I'm working on my own science fiction series at the moment. I released episode 1 after my pilot very, very recently, and I got that up on my new channel. If you're interested in having a little look at it, it's down there in the description box, as is the episode 1, like pilot and episode 1, both down there in the description box. But you'll probably notice when you're watching them that not everything is perfect. Like, there could be better choices when it comes to sound design. Things are a little bit stapled together in the wrong way, or they're a little bit slow, or the graphics could be a little bit better, that sort of thing. Now, the fact of the matter is, you'll probably notice that a lot of people like the episodes whether or not the script is amazing. They like the episodes whether or not these problems are there, whether or not they were filmed on 4K, which they weren't. But the thing is, your audience won't necessarily care. As long as the audience enjoys it, that's what matters, right? So what you can do is you can get a first release out there. Now, this is something which is very, very similar to films. Now, if you look at most films, a lot of them have director's cuts, special editions, that sort of thing. Now, these are ones where they've taken the film, recut it, looked at it, redone it. Bosh, 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 bosh. Now, what they've done is they've had to release it because when they start working on a film, they have their own release date in mind. It gets released and it gets put up in whatever form it ends up going out, because they plan on releasing it at a certain point. Then they look back at it and think, oh God, we really, really messed this one up. And then they redo little bits of it here, there, everywhere, maybe reshoot a few scenes, do something like that. But, you know, they pick up and they basically make a better version, a remastered version, if you will. Now, the thing is, if you're getting your work out there, you're getting much closer to a remastered edition very, very quickly, because you'll get your occasional people who come in and abuse. You'll get critical responses from people. My youngest brother, who works in sound design, is absolutely furious at my most recent episode of Chan Warriors, because it could have been better. There could have been better sound effects used, and basically, when I got it out there, I finished cutting it in the weekend, and I thought, right, I need to get on to the next episode because I've got a crowd of people who are interested in seeing it, who want it as quickly as possible. So, done, out of the way. The next one has to be worked on now. I have to work on the next one so that I've got something to release to them soon. Now, the thing is, the problem which comes along with this is, yes, you're not going to get something out there which is going to be perfect every time. I mean, a lot of films that I've worked on with people, they've been a little rough around the edges, even if the people who are making them have spent hours and hours and hours on them. Take, for example, I worked on a film called Sinners with a brilliant director called Weston, who I've been friends with for many years. Now, I got called in last minute, and I ended up being in an absolutely dreadful scene in this film, and it was dreadful because, well, mainly because of my performance, but the colour grading wasn't great and it wasn't particularly brilliant. Now, later on in the series, we have this, or rather, it's a sort of 2-part mini-series really, but later on in it, we have this fantastic fight, which is set indoors. You got all of this cool looking stuff. It's really, really nicely done, and it looks like an amazing sort of film. Now, if you look at it from the perspective of the worst and the perspective of the best clearly stands out, and you look at it and you think, my God, this is good. You know what I mean? For an independent sort of film. And you look at the worst side of it. Now, this is something which is being critically analysed by me in post after this film has been looked through again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and this is a polished cut of a final film. Now, the fact of the matter is, Jamie has since gone on to do loads and loads of amazing things, but the thing is, if he sat there for 50 million years trying to make Sinners work and trying to make it incredible and brilliant and amazing, it would not have worked out for him. It just wouldn't. He would not have been able to move on to the next project and to move on to the next level. Now, the thing is, he has constantly climbed and climbed and climbed and really, really worked himself to try and get to a level which is above what he's at. And the thing is, by consistently working on new projects and scaling up and climbing the ladder, he is consistently evolving. And if you only work on a project and then you spend so much time working and perfecting it and making it absolutely brilliant, yes, you may create your one-hit wonder. That's absolutely fantastic. But if you haven't mastered marketing, if you haven't mastered loads of different things, you might never get that work seen by people. When I've created my science fiction series and I release the episodes quickly, the only thing I really care about is that I make one or two people happy. That's what I care about. That's why I create them. That's why I waste my entire life crying into my pillow at night because I can't afford new props, or I've broken some lights, or something terrible has happened, like my sound recorder is bust. But the fact of the matter is at least I'm getting the work out there, and that's what I focus on. I think, yes, because these people like it. That's why I fight. That's why I continue. And whenever I make a new episode and wherever I make something different, I change different things. I change how I do it, how I film it. It's like the pilot episode. I had like this sort of swaying sort of camera motion, which I used. And I used that in everything, be it the space scenes, be it in everything else. And the main reason I did that is because of Firefly. Firefly did it, and I wanted the audience to think, actually, this is reminiscent of something, though I can't think what. But because I've got the swaying sort of camera, it gives them a little feeling of nostalgia if they've seen Firefly. Basically, there's a lot packed into my series where I'm trying to figure out what an audience really likes. Now, for my next episode, I didn't do that. It's not because I couldn't be bothered, because I could sit there and I could just get it all out there. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to see if the audience watching it cared that I'd stopped doing that. Didn't get any response from it. Now, this is time which I've saved from going from A to B. My audience didn't care that there was no sound effect when my salesman was sucked out of the airlock right at the end of the episode. Spoiler warning. But the fact of the matter is the audience don't care that much. If you look at any TV program and you decide to sit there and character assassinate it for 50 million years, you're going to find loads and loads and loads of faults. You will sit there and you'll find them because you were a filmmaker. But the fact of the matter is, these have been polished by a whole team of professionals, but you are probably on your own if you're of the level where you're watching my channel to try and learn. So what you need to do is you need to get work out there quickly, because at least that means that you're someone who produces something. And if you're a guy who produces and consistently produces stuff of a decent level, which you will do when you've got a little bit of experience, if you consistently create stuff which is of a decent level, people will come to you. They will want to be involved in your project. You will be able to get involved in other people's projects, and you'll be able to work with other people towards success. But if you just sit there in a cave like a troll and consistently polish and polish and polish and polish, like I didn't do for Craigslist, which I have to say, I shot Craigslist in 2 days. I know, you wouldn't think that, would you? Actually, most of you, anyone who's ever seen Craigslist would definitely think that was shot in 2 days. But the thing is, it's like, when it comes down to it, if you sit down there and you just work and work and work on one piece, you're not going to evolve like Jamie. And you're going to be like me when I was working on the original series of Chan Walrus. I sat there and I thought, right, I'll craft it down to a T. I will make this perfect. It will be my baby. And 2.5 years later, after getting the first episode filmed, 2.5 years of polishing, of sound design, of work and work and work, that got released. and it was terrible. I got insulted, I got put down, this is terrible, I lost my cast, I lost everything because the episode was just not good enough, even though I'd sat down and polished it. And the thing is, that had a massive psychological effect on me. Now, I'm not saying that your work is immediately going to be bad, but what I am saying is that the more you work on different projects and the more that you try and push yourself on different projects, you can try new things that you aren't trying normally if you're working on a new project every couple of weeks. It's really, really good because it's healthy, because it keeps your mind going and you don't get caught up in the universe. And one of the main problems is if you're sitting there in the universe, you might know why a character's doing something, but because you know so much about the character and you know so much about why they're doing it, you might not be able to show that to the audience and might not even realise that needs showing to the audience. So it's very, very important to sort of overcome this internal sort of struggle which you'll have of whether or not you should release a film sooner than later. I mean, look at Alien. There are several cuts of Alien, there's several cuts of Blade Runner. Every good film out there that's ever been released, there's been several cuts of. Now the thing is, if you sit there polishing a film and polishing it and polishing it and polishing it, you're going to get to the point where when it comes to remastering that film anyway, you're not going to be able to do it because you are not going to be able to really come up with other ways, apart from what the critics are saying, to try and change it. And you might inadvertently destroy it through a remaster, like there have been several films that have been completely destroyed by their remasters. But anyway, I'm rambling, and I'm rambling far too long. So, in short sight, I would say, whatever you do, just, release your work and get it out there. Get it out there so people can see it. If you've got an idea, if you're creating stuff, the most people get destroyed in the stage where they're planning stuff, or they're basically at a stage where they've got the project complete but they just don't feel it's quite ready to hit the market. Get it out there anyway, because the fact of the matter is there is no time like the present to get something out there. You do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. Your computer could crash, you could lose everything. I mean, you've probably got it backed up if you've if you've thought things through. But the fact of the matter is when you get that project out there, you will get feedback. You will learn what you've done wrong anyway, and you probably won't have seen it along the way, I mean, even as I was doing the final render of that episode, my God, I knew that there were problems. But the fact of the matter is that the episode needed to go out because I told myself in my head, I need this done by tonight. I need it done. And I corrected 2 or 3 little mistakes in it. Then I fixed it, watched it. It was okay. It was good enough to put out, so I did it. And that's what matters, because if you sit there watching the film for hours and hours and you've polished it, and then you're watching one scene and just in like in the cinema with everybody else, and you're just watching it and you just think, oh dear, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? No, 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 no. I can see the camera. I can see the camera in the mirror. I can see the camera in the reflection of the paint reflected in the guy's glasses, or whatever. That's going to kill you a lot more than if you just get it out there and then you're just like, right, that's one more thing to note down, that's one more problem and everything, because then you are not beating yourself up about something. Anyway, rambled for far too long, as usual. I'm in a film at the moment. It's called Mask of Thorn. It's been released by Mycho Entertainment. If you're interested in checking it out and maybe ordering it, I think it'll be up on Mycho's store soon if it's not already. And I highly recommend watching it because I get to make out with the most gorgeous woman I have ever met, which is, sorry Chloe, I know you're probably sick of that by now, but seriously, it was amazing, and the film's pretty good as well. Anyway, I really like working with Mycho. They're a really, really great team, and they've literally changed the way that I see the filmmaking universe, because seriously, all of their films are just so good, especially when you consider the fact that they're all made on a shoestring budget. This is a team of real filmmakers, and I seriously, if you ever get the chance to work with Mycho, work with them. Anyway, rambled for far too long. Have a great day, guys. Sorry I haven't released a lot of stuff recently. Actually, I've been doing stuff on my music channel. I do a lot of music for people, so if anyone wants free music for their films, just come over to my channel, information in the description thing, and you can take. You just rip and use everything you like. If you want to donate to me, etc., well, you can donate by buying the tracks on Bandcamp. They're all on offer until the 30, like Halloween, because, you know, I do music for horror films mainly, but yeah, basically I got 70% off on my entire Bandcamp discography, which is consistently going up because I'm releasing new stuff every day. I'm now working with my brother on the channel, which is great. Anyway, oh my god, this guy, he never shuts up. Did you know that I have pilchards here? I have pilchards. Pilchards are pilchards. Oh god, my life is a never-ending tirade of misery. Did you know that one of my most popular popular videos on this channel features the SX170IS, which is just a little camera thing, and it's got absolutely nothing to do with like you know, proper filmmaking. But I'm going to be making more videos with this one because they're popular. Anyway, I know, right? I know, you spend like £3,500 at an AF101E. No one wants to know what it is because it's made by Panasonic. It's only like a really expensive, amazing camera, but nobody cares about it. The thing is, you got a little camera like that, a baby camera which everyone can get. Instantly, people love it, and that is what's good about this camera. Actually, in fact, the image from this camera is really, really good. Anyway, I'll get into that in another video, you know what I mean? Anyway, you guys have a really good day. I'm sorry for rambling so long. I'm sorry for being insane. Life is cruel and unusual, and so are most of the sites I go on. Anyway, take care. Have a lovely day. Bye.